Good morning, everyone. This is a great showing this morning. Thank you all for coming. As you know, we are here this morning to introduce New Jersey's Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights. And we have all worked very hard in putting together this comprehensive piece of legislation, which certainly, as you can see, transcends politics and partisanship, as you can see by the support of all of the legislators here today and to those who have signed on as co-sponsors as well. As you may know, New Jersey was one of the first states to address the issue of school bullying with legislation in 2002 and cyberbullying in 2007. Right now, though, New Jersey's rate of bullying is actually higher than the national average, and it is imperative that our state once again takes the lead.
For most of us, I think it's fair to say that for most of us standing here today, when we were growing up, bullying was pretty much accepted as a rite of passage, as something that you just tolerated. This legislation will create a standardized way to identify and investigate incidences of bullying, and it will also train teachers, administrators, Board of Education members to identify and prevent bullying. Look, bullying is a serious, serious matter. And yes, the education of our children begins at home. But there is nothing more important than the physical and emotional well-being of our children. And we should do everything in our power to ensure that they have a safe environment that is conducive to learning. And you know, the students, the children, need to know that their school community will stand alongside their parents to help and protect them, and that's what this legislation seeks to do.
Over the past several months, there's certainly been no lack of media attention and public debate in New Jersey's education, whether it was the loss of $400 million in the critical funding for Race to the Top, whether it was the $100 million grant by Mark Zuckerberg, announcing this on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and recently the $30 million to charter schools. While the debate still sparks emotion, and I think the intent is the well-being of all our kids, it really means nothing. It means very little to the tormented, bullied children in our schools. Across the United States, 160,000 students stay home every day. And rather than missing valuable classroom time, they're home because they don't want to face their tormentors in the hallway, lunchrooms, or on the bus. And school should be a safe place for kids, a safe environment to learn. It's becoming a war zone, and for so many, it's so unfortunate that it is. The impact on many of these kids is often immeasurable. For some, it means lower academic performance and test scores, keeping them really a step behind for the rest of their lives. And for others, it means something unspeakably worse. As you heard the legislation, I would just like to reiterate that it's really about awareness, prevention, training, response, enforcement, and accountability. And I think that's the core, and it's also changing the culture of our children and our schools. We will have a week of respect in October. Kids will get it, K through 12. And also in higher ed, we'll address it with a student code of conduct. It's about changing the culture of not only the kids, but the entire community, the entire school community. We're giving them the tools to do that, and hopefully this message of disapproval makes it clear that the behavior aimed at another student that is either harassed, intimidated, or bullied will not be tolerated.
We're approaching 2011, and it's unfortunate that we're legislating things like this. Raising my son and daughter, I wanted them to be who they are. Didn't want them to be me. I wanted them to find their personalities and be who they can be. And they should never be ashamed or afraid of who they are, or be harassed because of who they are. It's tragic that things that just happened recently are causing even further legislation, and it does begin at the home. It really does. But we can do something as far as government concerns so that the schools don't ignore it. Children should be allowed to be who they are and fulfill their life's dreams as they choose to, wherever they want to go, whatever they want to do, without being harassed. So I am thrilled to be one of the co-sponsors, and I really appreciate the leadership that's being shown here. And obviously by myself being here, and I know the Speaker being here, and Senator Buono being the Majority Leader, I think you'll see quick action in the Senate on this legislation, and hopefully it gets there so we can help these children. What happened recently in Rutgers is just only magnifies what's wrong and intolerance in this world, and the fact that we have to teach and our children have to learn that we're all special in our own different ways, and you shouldn't be harassed or punished for those reasons. So I'm thrilled to be here supporting the sponsors of this bill and looking forward to passing it.
I am here to just lend my voices to the voices you've heard from. You know, there was an era of time when parents could tell their children, sticks and stones will break your bones, but names will never hurt you. That is not true in the new millennium. From cyberbullying to children having to walk to school and not feel safely, I agree with the sponsors. I tip my hat to people on both sides of the aisle in both chambers. It is time for us, those that are leaders, to lend our voices and to address issues in this century as it relates to discrimination against people and people having the right, the inherent right in this country and in this state to be whom they want to be, how they want to be, and we will begin to up the ante for those that violate the rights of others.
I'll be honest, I hate bullies. I don't care whether they're in the classroom, the halls, the athletic fields, or in the playgrounds. There is no reason for them to exist. Let me say this, on the way down, I read a story that parents, American parents, by a 2-to-1 margin, are more fearful of bullies in their classrooms concerning their parents than they are afraid of terrorists. That's an incredible statistic. The other one I want to point out to you is that the second leading killer of young adults and teenagers is suicide. Incredible, sad, but true. It's time to stop it in New Jersey and in this country, and I'm very proud of the legislature here and what we're doing here today. And as I said, I've got the Speaker, the President of the Senate, and everybody else, so let's move this real quick so we can stop the bullies.
It's incredible the support that we are getting. Martin Luther King Jr. said, it may be true that morality cannot be legislated, but behavior can be regulated. And so it's through this regulation of behavior that we can stop the cycle of bullying and prevent the long-term damage that is shown to cause on both the victim and the bully.